right, this is our next episode of True Wrestling Fan Discussions. This is the ongoing Hulk Hogan saga. This is gonna be Hulk Hogan chapter 130. I don't know, but it's just gonna be Hulk Hogan 2000 up until Bash at the Beach because that's gonna be a separate episode because that's a whole that's a lot to discuss. So I'm your host Mike.
I'm Frank. Man, let's get into this. Hogan's got more chapters than Jason
Yeah.
Voorhees.
Hogan was on a hiatus when last we left you. Hogan was on there was the whole Halloween Havoc, right? That whole fiasco.
Yeah, where we didn't know if he was told to take the time off
Right.
or he just was a baby and threw a temper tantrum with Sting because he thought Russo was gonna had booked him for a 30-second
Yeah.
squash match.
Yeah. Bischoff is still fired, I believe. Bischoff's not back yet. Okay, or
He'll come back
sent
until the
home.
reboot.
Sent them home. So anyway, so Hulk Hogan does return on February 2nd, 2000, and he confronts Lex Luger on a WCW Thunder episode that nobody was watching.
Got that right.
That leads into the next week where I know Luger attacks Jimmy Hart. He beats up Jimmy Hart, and I guess that's to try to draw Hulk Hogan out because Hogan is friends with Jimmy Hart again. Jimmy Hart had betrayed him years prior to that. I don't even remember when they reconciled their. Do you remember when they reconciled their relationship? Because I don't even remember.
2000
I wasn't even watching.
was utter chaos.
It was
point,
like
bro.
I was reading about it. Every now and again I would click on it, but very rarely.
By this point, I had clicked over one day and go,
No.
they're still on.
Yeah, seriously.
Because by this point, it's over, man.
It's just garbage.
Well, on February 14th edition of Nitro, Hogan made his in-ring return, beating Flair by disqualification.
Wait a minute. He beat Flair? That's never happened. He beat Flair for the 100th time.
But Flair does get one on him at least.
We really this is really what we wanted to see again. We wanted to see Flair and Hogan. That's what we really want anyway. But anyway,
because we haven't seen this for the last 6 years. And the Hogan Luger thing too.
Luger interferes in this match. He injures Hulk Hogan's arm in this match.
Oh, boy.
So that leads into what the next pay-per-view, I think,
Super
right?
Brawl 10 or Super Brawl 2000,
Right.
whatever you want to call it. If you put a 2000 in there, it's obviously going to suck.
Yeah.
Hogan beat Lex Luger at the pay-per-view. It was his first pay-per-view appearance since Halloween Havoc and his first win on a pay-per-view since Road Wild.
Yeah, I know Flair interferes in that match, and I think that's the return, and I believe that's the return of Sting. I think Sting comes back that night too.
You know, when Hogan returned, you think you would get new opponents, new feuds. We got it, but not what we wanted.
Right.
But this is the same old record that just keeps on playing.
Well, he will get a new opponent shortly, but
oh my God, a few of them that it's like, okay, we said new opponents, we didn't mean him.
Yeah.
In any event, following this, February 21st on Nitro, Hogan once again defeated Lex Luger. This time and again, I've talked about this in a last man steel cage match, last man standing steel cage match. Just because you put two matches names together doesn't make it any better. That doesn't make any sense to me.
No.
A last man standing steel cage match. So you have to answer the count of 10 in a steel cage. You do that anyway in a steel cage match, don't you? If you get knocked down, the referee is still counting it.
It's WCW, man. You're asking too much.
Where the big boys don't know what the hell they're doing.
Well,
at this point, Vince Russo, because Bischoff is
Russo's fully in charge at this point.
So
I know Russo actually get at some point. He comes back.
Well, here's what happens with Russo. This is what they did to him. They called him into the office. They said that, you're not what we expected. We're not firing you, but we're going to put you in a committee as far as the writing goes.
And that's where they bring Bischoff back and they make the two of them work together. Okay.
Because Russo told him, okay, my contract specifically states this. If you don't want to do this, then I will go home and you can pay me for doing nothing. So that's what actually happened.
Yeah.
And then they finally call him and tell him, okay, we need you to come back.
Right.
I would have called him and said, how's the vacation? Good? Extend it, please. So, but yeah, because they wanted to change it, that wasn't working for him. so he leaves. So the feud with Luger and Flair would continue, oh Lord, on to the March 13th edition of Nitro. This time, Luger and Flair won by DQ over Hogan and Kurt Hennig. I thought he lost a career-ending match. Nope, he's still there. So the next day on the Thunder taping, Hogan fought Luger and Flair in a handicap match, which ended in a double countout. It's just the same every week. Oh my God, same people, same everything. At Uncensored, Hogan beat Flair in the main event in a strap match. So once again, Hogan and Flair.
Yeah, I forgot about that. They did have a strap match.
Yeah, again, this feud's been going since Bash at the Beach, 1994. Can we at least say that we've seen enough of it? We've seen more Hogan and Flair than we've seen in Orton. This is getting ridiculous. And WWE had the gall in 2002 to have that match again.
That I didn't mind though.
Thank God it was just
I didn't mind.
one-off.
I didn't mind because it was a one-off. It was two icons, and it was in WWF. It was for the title.
Never happened at
Right. So I didn't mind that. But
all right. I just at this point it's just like enough is enough.
I know
with this feud. It's really ridiculous. The next night on March 20th, Hogan now teams with Sid and defeated Jeff Jarrett and Scott Steiner. Now, this is around the time that
Sid didn't turn on him.
Not yet. It's coming.
No, but I remember he turned on him in '92. I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, we're going down this road again.
Yeah. So
because actually, I believe if I'm not mistaken, it was that match that he did it. I believe it was this match that he turned on him and powerbombed him.
Oh man, I forgot, man.
And this is where they had this feud going. This is what we want. This is what at least what I wanted through '99. And when they brought Sid Vicious back, the first thing I'm thinking is, let's do Hogan and Sid again.
Right.
And they were on the way to doing it. And I'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
Before that, we have to get to Hogan beating Dustin Rhodes.
Yeah, they fought. They did fight. Yeah.
Yeah, March 21st, Thunder taping. Hogan beats Dustin Rhodes. And then following that on Nitro, he beats The Wall.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. Now, getting back to the Hogan Sid Vicious thing, which was actually a pretty good. They were executing it actually pretty good. Now, the fact that I said that in 2000 was a shock. 2 weeks before the reboot, Hogan was in a storyline with WCW champion Sid Vicious, and after Vicious turned on him, like back in '92, like we just said. Unfortunately, this feud never transpired because WCW shut down for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And all they had as Nitro episodes was 1 week they showed you the best of. And then the next week they had the announcers, how'd they put it? The announcers showed you the best of and the greatest matches. The hope that was the fans would remember the good times and be more invested in giving the reboot a chance. If you want to do a reboot, there's one thing you got to do. Get Mark Madden the hell off the commentary. Little big guy with the little hands scares the hell out of me. He sucks as a commentator. You got Shivani, fine.
Yeah, but
Mark Madden was a piece of garbage.
It was already too late.
No, it was. You don't shut your company down for 2 weeks.
That was a bad idea.
And the topping to that was you stripped everybody of the titles, which you're telling people everything that's been done to this point is useless, is pointless, never happened. It's over. So he brings when Vince Russo finally brings everybody in to the ring and said, these are the young guys, the new blood, that they're going to give a chance. And then Bischoff, are you done yet? Now you think it's going to be Bischoff versus Russo at this point.
Right.
But they join forces.
And they hug and everything.
So what do they do with the old codgers? They form a billionaires club. So it's pretty much
was it the billionaires or the millionaires?
I thought it was billionaires. Could be million. It's
either
one.
Club.
Either way, it doesn't matter. When you got Hogan and Flair on the same side, this is scary.
Yeah.
So you got the New Blood versus them, pretty much in a tournament. There's at Spring Stampede, and I actually bought this pay-per-view, and I'm sorry I did, because they promised, and it was in an article, that they were bringing in new talent. Now I thought this was going to be like how when the NWO started, they brought in people at a rapid pace. They brought Mike Awesome from ECW.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
one guy.
Right, stupid.
And a quick side note on Mike Awesome, he was the ECW champion when he signed with WCW and showed up. Now, obviously, ECW has to get their title back. So WCW agrees to it. So they book him in a match with Taz. This was the first time in history that you had a WCW wrestler versus a WWE wrestler for an ECW title. Never done before, never done again. So Taz obviously beats him for the title, and then eventually Tommy Dreamer will take that off of him. But um, WCW had to work with WWE on that because, unfortunately, when they took him, like I said, he was the champion.
Right.
But taking him in wasn't all that well anyway. So Hogan's first match of the reboot was on April 24th on Nitro. He loses to Billy Kidman and Mike Awesome in a handicap match.
Well, the thing was like that whole Kidman came out. I remember Kidman called him out. That's how that feud happened. So then they ended up having those was that Nitro, right? You said right?
Yeah, Nitro kid. He loses to Kidman
Right.
and Awesome.
Right.
He said he lost to Kidman 2 or 3 multiple times. If he's talking about overall, yeah, but in a singles match, he only lost once.
Right. It was only one time. They were trying to do something different. He felt like Russo was trying to bury him, I guess.
At this point, I can see,
Yeah.
I can understand where he's coming from, especially with this now. And you wouldn't think of it like, and I got to agree with Hogan because it was on.
Well, the thing was on Nitro. I'm sorry to cut you off. The thing that
Go ahead.
happened when they fought was that Bischoff turned on Hogan. Bischoff
Well, he does.
He hit him with the. It was during the Kidman match. I believe it was during the Kidman match. He hits him with a steel chair.
Yeah.
He hits him with the chair, and then Bischoff crashes his Hummer into Hogan's limo. Then they have their feud. I know at Spring Stampede, I think Kidman's fighting Vampiro, and then Hogan comes out and just destroys Kidman. As you see like a violent, angry side of Hogan, which it was actually pretty cool.
It was.
Yeah.
And I got to agree with Hogan on this, is where it wouldn't look like Russo's burying Hogan if he said, okay, if you want Kidman to be a rock star, then obviously once he's done with me, he's got to go through. Next would be Goldberg, then next would be Luger.
Yeah, well, that wasn't happening. So
and then Sting, and then the world title.
Right.
You wouldn't be going for a feud if you're looking to push him. You wouldn't be putting him in a feud with Hogan. And then he's in a storyline with Juventud Guerrero, losing to him.
Right.
So this was a pure sign of Russo,
right,
having it out for Hogan.
Well, I just think he didn't. And we'll get more in depth into that later on. But it was like he just didn't know what to do. So
I'm not even a writer for WCW, and I could tell you straight out what I could have wrote. Following this, I could have wrote Hogan's next 6 months pay-per-views. And what to do and who to fight. But again, we'll get to the Bash of the Beach at the real reason why they claim they had nothing for him. So the losing continued in the new era for him on May 1st. Nitro, Hogan now loses to Mike Awesome. So again, a guy that if you're gonna put him over on Hogan, do something with him, and then they never did anything with Mike Awesome either. May 2nd, Thunder taping, Hogan is defeated by Scott Steiner by countout, as well as competing in a battle royal later that evening in which Ric Flair won.
Yeah, and even before that, he wrapping up that whole Kidman thing. He came out, he cut a promo.
We ain't done with that yet.
Yeah, he cut. I know. Maybe I'm jumping ahead. I don't know. He cut a promo on Kidman, and then Hogan ends up taking out Bischoff. I think he throws him in a dumpster or something. He does something to him. Or he throws Kidman into the dumpster. I don't remember.
I think so. It was around the time of Slamboree because that's when Hogan defeated Kidman with Bischoff as the referee.
He was the special guest ref. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So Hogan finally gets one.
He hand counted. He hand counted Bischoff. But I think Bischoff gets knocked out.
It's the first time when he turned on him. He pinned it. Yeah. This time Hogan had to take matters into his own hands. So following that,
I think it was Horace. I think it might have been Horace that.
Yeah, because he's coming in.
Horace grabbed Bischoff's hand and counted. I think that's what happened.
Yeah, Horace is on Hogan's side
for now,
at least temporarily. Nobody ever stays with Hogan. Poor guy. On May 8th, it gets a little more interesting for Hogan on Nitro. Hogan teamed with Kevin Nash, and they would defeat Billy Kidman, Conan, Mike Awesome, and Rey Mysterio in a 2-on-4 handicap street fight match. So, unfortunately, if you know Hogan and you know Nash, you know where this is going.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, pretty much.
So May 15th, Hogan's put in a triple threat match against Horace Hogan and Billy Kidman. Horace became the victor of this one. At this point, it's now like But
I guess that's when he betrays him. I think that's when Horace betrays him. I forget when he turns on him.
yeah, because the next day on the taping, Hogan gets his revenge by defeating Horace
Yeah,
Hogan.
yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So I mean, at this point now, you've done to Russo's done to Hogan at this point what Bischoff did to Flair years earlier, putting him literally as now he's a mid Carter. And now to make matters worse, May 22nd on Nitro, Hogan's now losing to Vampiro, or how Oklahoma would do it, Vampiro, Vampiro. This is getting really bad. If I'm Hogan, I'm going to the front office and be like, "What the hell are you doing here? This is bad, dude. You got to. I mean, Hogan against Vampiro. What's next? You going to take on Shane Helms?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, it's
Ralph
bad.
is still working for the company.
Yeah,
You got to fight him.
it's just a mess.
This is a guy, regardless of anybody's personal opinion of Hulk Hogan. This guy is one of the generals, the icons that made the business what it was, regardless of your feelings of him. And this is how you're treating him in the ring.
Not only that, it's just bad for business. Forget how you're treating Hogan. It just doesn't make any sense.
Oh, they're in the toilet at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
The merger went through in 2000 with Time Warner. It was going to take a year for it to go through, and by that point, they were like, "Well, we don't want wrestling on our TV shows."
It was over.
So, I mean, the Titanic is just about done. The bow is about to break. I mean, at this point, it is done.
Yeah.
There's no bouncing back, and the reboot just made it completely worse.
No, it's stupid.
So, I mean, the next week for Hogan at least gets a little interesting. On June 5th, he defeats Horace Hogan in a steel cage.
Yeah, the return of Hollywood. He comes out in black and white.
Black and white, which I actually liked seeing. As much as in '99, I like to see the red and yellow back. When he brought in the NWO Hollywood, I was like, yes, this is what we need. We don't need the NWO back.
Right.
But at least the Hollywood Hogan we got back, but still not going to help. June 12th, Hogan's last, actually June 12th will actually be Hogan's last Nitro ever. He fought Jeff Jarrett to a no contest. At the Great American Bash, I believe, what was it, a number one contenders match?
Yeah, the winner, or if the winner gets a title shot, but if Hogan loses, he has to retire versus Billy Kidman. So it's Hogan Kidman.
Yeah, and Hogan defeated Kidman once again, even with Horace Hogan as a special guest referee.
That's because Tori Wilson betrays Billy Kidman. I don't know. She distracts him and then she low blows him. I know that. She low blowed him.
And Hogan wins, and now he's the number one contender.
Right. And that's why he ultimately gets his title shot versus Jeff Jarrett. Broke 6,000 guitars, never drew a dime. When Jeff Jarrett came out, you could hear a rat piss on cotton.
We're going to say this 6,000 times because as long as Jeff Jarrett's in our stories, we're going to have to do it.
Yeah. So we're going to cut it off right here because the next episode on Hogan's Adventures, it's going to go into the whole Bash at the Beach 2000 fiasco, the shoot. The shoot that was a work, that was a shoot. And
this is pretty much WCW's version of Survivor Series 1997.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
But I will say this, just as a spoiler to it, if this storyline would have commenced, I really do believe the ratings would have gone up for at least for the next few months with this story, because the fans actually blew up the internet the next day.
Right. It did get attention.
Yeah, and I thought watching this back then that okay, this might just save the company. Yeah, well, we'll get into that.
Yeah. All right. Well, you guys let us know what you think. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys soon.
Take care.